Welcome to Fantasy Sports Daily, powered by FantasyGuru.com. Monday through Friday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 9 a.m. Pacific. Ray Flowers breaks it all down for you from a fantasy sports perspective. Hey there, everyone. Ray Flowers of FantasyGuru.com. As you heard on the intro, hope you're doing well here on this Thursday. I think it's Thursday. What the hell day is it? It's Thursday. That's right. Lots going on this week. Lots of changes in the schedule, as you're probably all aware. We'll go through them all in a second here. Again, I'm Ray Flowers of FantasyGuru.com. You can find my work there all the time. You can find me on this show all the time. You can find me on SiriusXM. Let's go through the various avenues, as well as saying, hey, at the Ray Flowers, type it into your social media network, Instagram, Threads, YouTube, Instagram, Threads, actually on YouTube too, I think. Blue Sky, all those places at the Ray Flowers. I'm here Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. Justin Fensterman is here on Wednesdays. On Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we have a guest from the channel, from the website that comes on about halfway through the show, so about 12:30 Eastern Standard Time. And on Mondays, I go solo the whole show. That's the only day of the week where I'm by myself. This week, we normally have this show at 12 o'clock Eastern, Elite Sports with Jeff Mans from 3 to 6 Eastern, and then Game Time with Justin Fenster and myself from 8 to 10 Eastern. This week, Jeff Mans is away on vacation. We'll be back on Monday. So for this week, there's no night show. Our show is taking over Jeff Mans' slot. So Justin and I will be on in a couple hours, 3 to 6 p.m. Eastern, on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio. Again, Jeff returns on Monday. I saw this mentioned in Discord a couple of times over at FantasyGuru.com. If you're searching for past shows for us, for Justin and me this week, you have to search Game Time. It's not technically an Elite Sports show. It's technically a Game Time show. So if you're looking for the show on demand on the SiriusXM app, type in Game Time. So here today with you for an hour, then over with Justin for 3 hours. Tomorrow, same thing. I'll be here at 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, and then on SiriusXM with Justin from 3 to 6 Eastern. All right, what are we talking about on the show here today? Here you go. James Wood, Masyn Wynn. Oh, I left an N off Masyn Wynn's name. Sorry, Masyn. Agustin Ramirez, David Fry, Jazz Chisholm, CES, Sandy Alcantara. What is going on there? Eury, Perez, Cade, Cavalli, Noah Cameron, Clarke, Schmidt, Trevor Williams, George Kirby, and Matthew Boyd. I would also let everyone know that right before the show started, I posted a Rays Ramblings piece over at FantasyGuru.com. So that's available. Go check that out. Talking about a bunch of Zach Gallen and Jackson Jobe and Royce Lewis and Caleb Durbin. So check that out over at FG. We're also going to talk to Tyler Buecher in about 25, 30 minutes. Tyler comes on every Thursday. He was away last week on vacation. He's back this week. I'm sure he's ready to go. As you can see there on the screen, we're going to have a wide-reaching conversation with him. We're going to talk best ball diversification. He's our best ball guy, so we'll talk a little bit about that. Zero running back theory. It's still a thing. What is zero running back theory, and is he a supporter of it? Handcuffing. Is he a supporter of that? James Cook, Jayden Daniels, Kenny Pickett, Malik Nabers, Ricky Pearsall, and Stefon Diggs will also be discussed in about 25 minutes with Tyler Buecher. You can watch this show live. Again, I said watch, live or on demand. It's on youtube.com/@ElitePlusNetwork, facebook.com/FantasyGuruHQ, on Twitter X @FantasyGuru site. Watch it live and ask questions and leave comments. You can do that. You can always catch it on demand as well later on because it's stored there. You can go to FantasyGuru.com, click the Elite Plus tab at the top of the page and find this show stored there if you want to listen to the podcast, or just type Fantasy Sports Daily into your podcast network and have at it. So there you go. So let's see here. By the way, just let everyone know, if you click that subscribe tab in the top right corner at FG, you can get signed up for the baseball product. Been talking about it. Just want to mention it one more time here today. I'll probably mention it again tomorrow. We do have one low price for the baseball product for the rest of the season. Everything we do for baseball, all the seasonal content, all the DFS content, all the wagering content, that's access to the dong detector, that's access to Discord to ask, hey, how does this look? It's access to all the articles, the tools, all of that over at FantasyGuru.com. So all the baseball, the rest of the season, one low price. And then finally, it's football time too. The football product at FG drops on Monday. I am told that some of the articles will be up on Sunday, probably, wink, wink. But the draft guide drops on Monday. Remember, we call it a draft guide because that's just what you call it. But it is a full season product over at FantasyGuru.com. As you can see there on the screen, it includes a lot of stuff. It includes the draft plan. It includes the manifesto. It includes the articles. It includes the rankings, all that kind of stuff. You can get signed up right now at FantasyGuru.com. There's 5 packages in total, starting from hey, I want just the seasonal coverage, to all-in VIP, right? And when you do the all-in VIP, you get everything we do. It's just like we're talking about with baseball. You get everything we do with football. So that's an option. And then 3 in between, the Elite Seasonal Package, the DFS package, and the betting package. So check that out over at fantasyguru.com. It drops on Monday. Woo! So check that out over at fantasyguru.com. All right, let's make a little change here. Let's make my face a little bit bigger. Justin V says, The Oracle. Hello, Justin. Hope you're doing well. Justin says, how are you doing today? What bets are you leaning on today? Here's my process, Justin. And for those people, Justin probably knows this, but for those people that don't know this, my process is the following: that I do the show in the morning. Quick, who cares? But here it is. I live on the West Coast. I start work at 7 a.m. So this show takes an hour to do. It takes about an hour behind the scenes to create graphics and post it, as a podcast and post it as an article and post all the posting on YouTube, all this stuff. So it takes about 2 hours. So that takes me from 7 to 9. Then when I get up in the morning as well, there's about an hour of time where I'm just looking over everything to make sure I didn't miss anything last night. So now I'm to 10 o'clock. Then from 10 to 11, and I'm roughly throwing these time frames out just to give it some context. From 10 to 11, I'm answering questions, right? So it's not until about 11 o'clock that I really can start digging into things. This week, I've got the show in the morning or midday with Justin, which starts at 12 o'clock my time because it's 3 to 6 Eastern. So I can't even think about doing anything in terms of posting a bet until after the show, which ends at 6 o'clock Eastern, which is 3 o'clock Pacific time. What also happens is, and I've said this to some people because we've had some newer people, and again, you click that subscribe tab in the top right corner. We've had some new people sign up for the package and like, where are the bets? I am not of the opinion that you should be putting out bets in the morning. Why? Because I need to know what the lineup is. Like the Yankees are a totally different team if Aaron Judge isn't in the lineup, right? What if the team changes their starting pitcher? This happens all the time. Well, we're going to go with the bullpen game today. Well, what if there's weather involved? So I don't ever post bets until the lineups are out. I will be doing, as soon as we get off the show here, I will have about an hour to look at some bets because I was able to finish the Ramblings piece early. So about an hour to look at bets, but I won't be finalizing anything until 3:30, 4 o'clock this afternoon, Pacific time, because that's just when I have a chance to get to it. And I say it all the time. I could put bets out for the morning stuff. I don't like doing that. Why? Not because I'm lazy. Again, I start work at 7 a.m. I go from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. I work 12-hour days. I don't do it in the morning because I really feel more comfortable getting more time to analyze things, as well as most days when I'm doing the DFS work, which unfortunately I'm not able to do this week because of my schedule. I'll return next week. It just helps me to prepare things a little bit better. So I hope that makes sense. Jeff, it sounds like Jeff needs to get you an assistant. Justin, I need an assistant. This is supposed to be my slow time. During football season, I work even more. Yeah, I'm smart/dumb. Hey, look, that's how I've done this for 25 years, is working hard. And again, I'm standing instead of sitting right now, but I'm wearing a Batman shirt, so life could be a lot worse. Lou says, Ray, MLB rankings posted Monday or Sunday. Keep up the awesome work. It was a debate I was having. I have plans on, bottom line is I have plans on Saturday and Sunday this week, but the story is over at fantasyguru.com. The first of every month, I update the rankings. If you want to get involved here, because remember, you can click that subscribe tab in the top right corner and get signed up. I update the rankings, and I don't just move a guy. I update the entire rankings, all 650 players. I update once a month, the first of every month. So June 1st would be that day. I think I'm going to stick to June 1st, Lou. It would be much better for me. It'd be much better for my life. I'm going to have to work way more this weekend than I wanted to. I'm going to have to get up early and work late, which sucks. But I think I'm going to get it done for Sunday. We'll see. It might be late Sunday, depending on how the schedule goes. I don't know if I really feel like getting up at 5:30 on a Sunday morning, but we'll see. But I think it's going to be Sunday. If it's not Sunday, it'll be Monday. Again, all the rankings updated at fantasyguru.com. That's part of the seasonal package if you get signed up. And it'll then be the following day, the 2nd of June, will be sold rankings. So that's my estimate at this point in time, Lou. And hello, Eddie. And thanks for the thoughts and comments and questions, everybody, including Justin. All right, let's talk a little bit of baseball here before we talk some football in about 20 minutes with Tyler Beaker. James Wood hit a home run, drove in 3 runs yesterday, and I just, James Wood appreciation moment here. We've talked a lot about James Wood. He was somebody that I was extremely high on in the preseason. I know a lot of you have him on your team, and it's been fantastic. He's hitting 287, 380 on base percentage, 570 slugging percentage, 15 home runs. I think he's got like 7 or 8 steals. I mean, he's on pace to go 30-15 while hitting 285. He's been fantastic. Can he hold on to all of this? It's asking a hell of a lot. I wouldn't be stunned if he did. but it's asking a hell of a lot. He and CJ Abrams are basically a wrecking force. The opponents immediately got to jump in because they usually hit 1-2. The opponent's got to jump in immediately and get it done, and they often don't. James Wood has been fantastic, much like Junior Caminero, who we've talked about on this show, and Justin and I have talked a lot about on Elite Sports Game Time. Wood could stand to lift the ball a little bit more. He's 6'7". That'll probably come with some age here. But the fact is, we're kind of nitpicking here. James Wood has been fantastic. There is nothing overtly obvious that says this guy's going to fall in the toilet. Again, is he sustaining any part of his slash line? Probably not. But if he hits 260 and he has a 360 on base percentage and his slugging percentage is 520, like that's still a terrific first full season. So James Wood, unlike a lot of other players, James Wood living up to expectations and might even honestly be exceeding them. And I think that's a fair comment to make. As much as I like James Wood and thought this was possible, a third of the way through the year to see these numbers, it's a little bit better than I thought. I certainly didn't think he was going to have a chance to hit 40 home runs. And again, I'm still hoping for 30, but he has been terrific for the Nationals. Another guy who another guy's doing terrific now, who has run the gamut, right? When this preseason began, I was a big Masyn Winn fan. He's going to hit leadoff. He's going to steal 30 bases. He's going to score 95 runs for the Cardinals, all this good stuff. Then he goes out and has a horrible spring. He's so bad in spring that they decide to bat him at the bottom of the order instead of the top of the order. Then he continues to hit horribly once the season begins. Then he gets hurt, and it's like, is this, 9th round pick, Masyn Winn, 10th round pick, is he just going to go in the toilet and be just a sunk cost? Thank goodness that didn't happen. He's now up to hitting second. He's kind of established himself as second in the order with the Cardinals. He went 4 for 5 yesterday with a couple of doubles, scored 3 runs. And since he's returned from that ankle injury that sent him to the injured list, he's got an 830 OPS in 32 games. And all of a sudden, everything is right with James Winn. Masyn Winn. And, if you had told me, I'm pulling up the numbers just to make sure. Yeah, if you had told me he was going to hit 278 this year with a 357 on base percentage and a 438 slugging percentage, I would say that's the guy I drafted. Fantastic. So despite that start, much like Rafael Devers, despite that horrible start to the season for Masyn Winn, he is exactly where that slash line should be. In fact, 357 on base percentage might even be a little bit better, maybe 347. Bottom line, that's where he should be. He's on pace to score 85 runs, which is fantastic given his start and where he was hitting in the order for a good portion of the season. The problem is, in terms of his fantasy value, now we're digging into it. He's got 2 steals and he's been caught stealing 4 times. I thought a down season in stolen bases with him would be 15, 18, and he could still get there, but he's got to go. And so, is he going to live up to my draft day expectations? It's looking like no. But if he hits 275 with 95 runs scored, I'm going to still, and 15 home runs, it's like, I'll be okay with it. And I think you should be too. There's a lot of players that bomb, right? And that's what really gets you in the fantasy space. At least in the case of Masyn Winn, it doesn't look like he's bomb. John, you are late. We did talk about James Wood. He was the first guy we discussed. Just missed it. You can always rewind and listen to the comments on James Wood. Agustin Ramirez had 4 hits yesterday, 7th home run of the season. I don't know why he was batting leadoff. That doesn't make any sense. I don't know why he's batting leadoff against a lefty, which makes even less sense because he hasn't hit him at all. But it sure worked out yesterday for the Marlins, who came back and amazingly defeated the Padres after Sandy Alcantara pitched like boo-boo butthole. And we'll talk about that in a few minutes. Ramirez, let's talk about him. He is, somebody we talked about on the show in Tout Wars. I mentioned the fact that I picked him up right when he was promoted. He was promoted, and I picked him up like a couple hours later. I don't think he'd even played a game by the time I got him there. And we're 31 games in now with the rookie. And while the numbers in some respects are just okay, in other respects, they're fantastic. 260 batting average, that's okay, right? Okay. 7 home runs, 17 RBIs, 17 runs scored in 31 games. That's terrific. 318 on base percentage, basically league average. 525 slugging percentage, big boy number. Bottom line here with him is he's got a 17% strikeout rate. His walk rate's about 8%. That's a pretty good, walk to strikeout ratio for a young player. He's driving the baseball with extreme levels of authority. 19% home run to fly ball ratio is not too big to sustain. That is something he could sustain. He's got a 10% barrel rate, 48% hard hit rate. Like, there's a lot of sustainability with what he has done to date in terms of the results. So he has obviously been a star since he was promoted. There was a week where he had like 2 hits, right? So, but overall, this production has been great. He clearly has established himself as a top 15 option the rest of the way. How high in that top 15 is he going to be for the rest of the way? Check out the rankings when they drop in a couple days over at fantasyguru.com. Ooh, look at that. That's a tease. That's what they call that in radio, a tease. Another guy who qualifies at catcher who I haven't got a question about maybe all season, to be fair, is David Fry of the Guardians. David Fry hurt his elbow, had surgery. He hasn't been seen yet. He's gone to AAA the last couple of games. He got 8 at-bats here. He hasn't done anything. Now, the good news for David Fry is he's going to qualify, I think, in every league at catcher. And for those of you in 1 catcher leagues, maybe it doesn't matter. But in 2 catcher leagues, there should be some interest in David Fry. He was amazing to start. He was last year's Agustin Ramirez to start the season. Then he predictably tailed off as the season wore on and then got hurt late. But he was still pretty good. I mean, he's a guy that can get on base, got a little bit of pop. Kyle Manzardo and Carlos Santana are basically DH first base. So I don't know. We've talked about this a lot. Santana's still got a 350 on base percentage, still getting on base, but his slugging percentage is in the 300s. Manzardo, after a hot start against lefties, hasn't hit lefties at all lately. He's basically just become a home run guy. His batting average on base percentage aren't very good. So, it remains to be seen what Fry's role will be when he's healthy enough to play. But he is definitely somebody, if you're like in a 12-team league with 2 catching spots, you might give consideration to picking David Fry up. If you have room on your IL, pick him up now for nothing, throw him on the IL, see how things go. We'll continue to monitor his progress. But if he's playing on a consistent basis, he's got a pretty solid offensive game for the Guardians. Excuse me. Chad Chisholm's going to start a minor league rehab assignment today, coming back from his oblique injury. We saw a video of him taking some hacks, looking pretty good. It sounds like next week he'll be back with the Yankees. Remember, he was hurt and he said he was fine, and then the team said he wasn't fine, and then they said, oh, he's got 3 different issues he's dealing with this oblique. So I think that at this point, if he is back next week, which is our current estimation, that will be a really good result, because there was some concern after the initial everything's fine, some concern with Chisholm that he was going to miss a lot longer than it looks like he's going to miss. So that will be a significant addition to fantasy squads and, of course, the Yankees lineup. Christian Encarnacion-Strand. He's an interesting player. He's been out since mid-April with a back issue. And the Reds are a team we've talked about a lot. Reese Hins was the guy that everyone had to get, and we were obviously very cautious on Reese Hins. And he's been since demoted. We have seen Will Benson start out on fire, then he started to get a little bit cold here, and he's a platoon guy anyway. You look at this lineup right now, the way it's currently constructed, and the first baseman is Spencer Steer right now, and the DH is Gavin Lux. Could they move Gavin Lux to second base? They could, but they have Matt McClain. Could they move him to short? Well, they won't, because they have Ellie De La Cruz. Could they move him to the outfield? Sure. But really what's most likely to happen here, I think, is it's going to be tough to get at-bats for all these guys. Will Benson could be demoted because he's a platoon guy with limitations. You have Heimer Candelaria, who's coming back from an injury. You've got Noelvi Marte, who's coming back from an injury. You've got Jake Fraley, who's coming back from an injury, and then there's CES. So as much as a lot of people, and this goes back to last year, people wanting to make, him CES a thing, because he does have 30 home run power. There's no debate about that. To make him a thing, just where's this going to happen? I just don't, again, I don't see it right now. And that's, again, not to say that it couldn't happen, but I just don't, it's really tough to see how this is going to play out. We got a lot of guys here that are in and out of the lineup. We got a lot of guys that should be playing on a more consistent basis that kind of aren't. Reds have pieces. We'll see how it all comes together. The health is basically the big deal. Is Marte worth holding in a 14-team league with uncertainty with at-bats? I assume that's Starling Marte we're talking about, John. I dropped Starling Marte. I had him in 1 league. I dropped him last weekend. So if it's Starling Marte, I would have no problem letting Starling Marte go in a 14-team league, John. Sandy Alcantara, let's talk about him. Correctly predicted yesterday that Alcantara would struggle. We had a bet, the double bet. We had a bet for hit run RBI prop for Manny Machado, which he hit, because he had gone 6 for 9 against Alcantara, and Alcantara had been terrible of the season. So Machado hit that. We also had a secondary parlay that was a base hit for Machado, which he obviously got. And then a victory for the Padres. And the Padres bullpen blew this. Terrible, terrible game for the Padres there. But Alcantara just can't do it. His ERA is in the 8. It's almost 9 now, right? It's just terrible. Gave up 6 runs over 4 innings yesterday. The velocity looks fine, but he can't locate his pitches. And Justin and I talked about this on the broadcast yesterday. Again, it's 3 to 6 Eastern this week, today and tomorrow. But it's a game time show if you're searching it on the SiriusXM app. And we talked about on the show, Alcantara can't locate his pitches. And this is oftentimes the last thing that comes back for guys when they have Tommy John surgery or elbow surgery. The ability to control the pitches. Right now, Alcantara can't. He can't put guys away. He's not missing bats. And as much as I've said he's Sandy Alcantara, and as much as he's been healthy, and as much as the stuff looks fine, we're to the point now, and he's going to be a really interesting guy. I'm going to start doing the rankings later today as they start to dive in for the update on the first. He's going to be a really tough guy to rank. And just first guess, right? Like, I think a lot of people, for a lot of people, it's okay to move on. And this is, and I talk about this a lot. Noelvi Marte. Oh, yeah, Noelvi Marte. That makes more sense, John. I'll get back to you in a second. I'll just get to you right now. Noelvi Marte, I think in a 14-team league is a hold. Yes, I would say to that. Currently, their third baseman is Santiago Espinal. He's no good. So, yes, I would hold Noelvi Marte in a 14-team league. Sorry about that, John. Okay. Sandy, back to him. I think a lot of people are going to drop him. And this is, again, the danger, and I've talked about this. I talked about it again yesterday on the show. 10-team head-to-head leagues are tough, and a lot of you are in 10-team head-to-head leagues. And as I've said yesterday, and I'll repeat again, you think you're doing an easy thing by doing a 10-team head-to-head league. You're making it way harder on yourself. It's the most difficult, and I'm totally being honest here. Doing a 10-team head-to-head league is more difficult, in my opinion, than doing a 15-team league. I make 1 or 2 lineup changes a week to my team. You're all making 1 or 2 changes a day, right? 3 a day, 4 a day. It's in a shallow league like that, or even if it's a 12-team head-to-head league, it's going to be really tough to hold on to Sandy Alcantara. He's just not producing. Speaking of the Marlins, Eury Perez, his teammate. Now, there's a guy that we should hope produces in the second half. Now, we don't know how many innings Perez is going to throw coming back from his elbow surgery. We know the team's obviously going to be very cautious with him. He had 4 strikeouts yesterday in a rehab game at AAA, 5 shutout innings, which is great. He's obviously done a terrific job. Probably going to see him in a couple of weeks, would be my guess. I've heard of people asking questions about Perez and all that. Should you add Perez? Yeah, I think now is the time to add Perez. But remember, you add Perez or Bubba Chandler, right? We don't take 2 roster spots up for guys that are coming back from injury or minor leaguers. I think that's really risky unless you have a large bench. Perez, Perez should show up and be effective right off the hop. How many innings is he going to throw? How many pitches and outings is he going to throw? Are they going to cap him at 85 pitches to start? Are they going to, give him, 3 starts in a row of 5 innings and have him start 3 innings one time? Like that, he's going to be a difficult one to have full confidence in the fantasy space, because I don't know if he's going to consistently take the ball every 5 games and give you 5 innings. But Eury Perez is certainly trending toward a return in short order, and he is obviously one of the best pitching prospects in all of baseball, and he's getting close to a return from the Marlins. Another youngster, another guy coming back from surgery, Cade Cavalli, who I had on my Dynasty League team a couple years ago and had to move on. Long story, but had to move on. We still have 45 roster spots, so that's how to move on from Cavalli. 10 strikeouts over 5 shutout innings yesterday, so he was rocking and rolling yesterday. And he's getting close to a return for the Nationals. And when you hear 5 shutout innings and 10 strikeouts, and then you hear he only threw 70 pitches, like he was on his freaking game yesterday. And it's easy to forget Cavalli because it's been a long time, but Cavalli is one of the better right-handed, or was one of the better right-handed pitching prospects in the National League. And I think it's fair to say, he's getting close to getting back to that. Workload, again, same concerns with Perez, right? He's still, Cavalli, a part of the Nationals' future on the Hill. I don't know exactly when we're going to see him. I don't know how much leash they're going to give him, but we will see him at some point. It could happen in June. It might be the second half. But he is somebody that we'll obviously talk about when promoted. He's pitching pretty well right now, healthy, and he's a pretty high-end prospect that we don't talk about too much anymore. Noah Cameron, 6 hits, 1 run, 2 walks, 2 strikeouts over 6 1/3 innings against the Reds. Got it done again. And someone asked me yesterday, should I start Cameron? And I was like, we talked about Cameron on the show yesterday. just to put it out there again for this audience, Noah Cameron is pitching about as far over his skis as possible. There is so much regression coming with Noah Cameron. It's bad. Bigger concern with Noah Cameron is that Seth Lugo should return tomorrow, and Cole Reagans is probably next week. So I don't know. Cameron might make one more start. I don't know if he's in the rotation a week from today. So even if I'm wrong about the regression, and even if the regression comes 7 starts down the road, I don't know how long it's going to take him to get 7 starts. So Cameron has done an excellent job. He's done an excellent job of getting outs. He's been very effective. He is, I think, like the 5th or 6th prospect in the Royals organization. He's a 4th or 5th starter type at the big league level. He's pitching like a number 2, but he's a 4th or 5th starter at the big league level. So great. If you've been rolling him out there, if you didn't take my advice yesterday, kudos to you. Just caution performance-wise as well as role-wise moving forward with Noah Cameron. Clarke Schmidt threw, 6 shutout innings yesterday against the Angels. Clarke Schmidt is just good. He's not great. He's not sexy. He's not a woohoo, but he's just good. He just goes out there and gives you 5 or 6 innings, keeps the Yankees in the game almost every time he takes the hill. He's set to face the Guardians next. And, boom. It's just, I like guys like Clarke Schmidt. They're not, and again, he's not going to strike out 12 guys in an outing, and he's not likely to go 6 shutout innings very often. But if he's going to go 5 2/3 and give up 2 runs and just do stuff like that, there's a lot of comfort in knowing the odds of your pitcher getting blown up are small, right? Because that's a huge issue we all deal with. In the case of Clarke Schmidt, the odds of a blow-up are pretty small. Trevor Williams, the odds of a blow-up are super high. Trevor Williams pulled one out of his ass yesterday. Now, it's a great place to pitch in Seattle. No doubt about that. But he threw 6 shutout innings against the Mariners and allowing 2 hits. Like, what? Like, that doesn't even make any sense. He's been really good against right-handed pitching. He's been brutally horrid against left-handed pitching. We had a bet with Cavalli yesterday. Didn't hit that bet. He only had 1 hit. But I don't know what happened to Trevor Williams. Trevor Williams next time out is against the Cubs. So if you looked at the effort yesterday with Williams and you're thinking, all right, I'm going to stream this guy. We're not streaming anyone against the Cubs with this level of skill as Trevor Williams has. As I just mentioned, he's been obliterated by left-handed pitching. I'm not throwing that guy against Ian Happ, Kyle Tucker, Pete Crow Armstrong, Michael Busch now. So tip of the cap to Trevor Williams, who did better than anticipated yesterday, but it's not actionable. Nothing to do with Trevor Williams right now. George Kirby, question came up about Kirby in Discord. Questions about Kirby abound because he gave up 6 runs in 5 innings yesterday in that loss against the Nationals. And through 2 outings, he hasn't been good. The real reason, much like Alcantara, different issue though, because obviously Kirby didn't have elbow surgery. Much like Alcantara, the stuff looks okay. It's about locating the stuff. And that's Kirby's MO, right? Kirby doesn't beat himself. He doesn't walk anybody. He pinpoints and dart throws all of his pitch mix all over the zone. He hasn't been doing that yet. So at this point in time, cautious with Kirby. Next time out against the Orioles, again, the matchup is one that you want to start him, but after the results, the first 2 times out, if Kirby is rage dropped by somebody, add him. If you have Kirby, don't drop him yourself. Is he a must start next time against the Orioles? Absolutely not. If you could buy low, if that's the thing on Kirby, go for it. I mean, there's no reason to think he won't figure this out as we move forward, but it has been a rough start to his season there. And then finally, before we talk some football with Tyler Beaker, Matthew Boyd, going back to the Cubs, let's wrap it up with the Cubs. Matthew Boyd has been really good. He allowed 4 hits, 1 earned run yesterday, struck out 8, didn't walk a batter in 6 innings against the Rockies. Now, it's the Rockies. You take it with a grain of salt. You basically pitch everyone against the Rockies at this point. We start George Kirby against the Rockies. Pitch everyone against the Rockies. But Boyd is really, I mean, this is what Boyd in a best case scenario would be this season. So anyone that drafted Boyd, whatever your price point was with him, he's 11 starts in, he's 5-2 with a 3.1 ERA and a strikeout an inning. Now, even with all the success, his whip is 1.26, which is fine, but it's creeping toward the league average. And his left on base percentage is 79%. That's going to come down. He also has batting average and balls in play come down. That number is 330. That number should regress. I think more positive than not, absolutely, with Boyd. The question with Boyd is we're starting to get into that zone of workload where since COVID, his high in innings pitched is 78 at the big league level. He's at 61 right now. So, and COVID was 2020, remember. Last time he threw 80 innings at the big league level was 2019. So we'll see how he ages, if you will. But overall, Matthew Boyd has given the Cubs depth. He's been pretty consistent. He's missing bats. And he has lived up to those draft day expectations for those folks that were big fans of Mr. Boyd. All right. And Tony says, by the way, thanks for writing Ray's Remedies. I enjoyed reading it twice. That is a lot of work. Thank you. You got it, Tony. Yeah. It's a lot of, it's good to hear that. And I would encourage Tony and everyone else to continue sharing thoughts like that, because just to share, right? The seasonal baseball space is shrinking on almost a weekly basis. Everyone's going to gambling or betting. Everyone's going to DFS. The seasonal baseball community is really shrinking. So positivity like that means we'll be able to keep covering it next year. So keep those thoughts going. You can always send a note as well to support@fantasyguru.com. Okay, let's talk some football. We didn't have him last week with us because he was on vacation with his significant other. Hopefully he had a good time. Hopefully he's tanned. And hopefully he's ready to talk some football, which I'm sure he is with us. That's Tyler Beaker of fantasyguru.com. How you doing, Tyler?
Ray, am I tan? Come on now. Look at this beard. There's no chance I get tan.
So can you tan? I mean,
I've had one summer, and it was the senior summer after high school, where I spent the 3 months before college outside every single day, sun up to sundown.
Yeah, it's funny. I'm white now. I'm trying to find the nice balance with the lighting. I'm not as white as it looks, but I'm white now. I one summer, like, I was out every day too, and I looked Italian. Like I can get tan. I'm only outside an hour at a time now, walking the dog. So I hear. Anyway, how was your trip? Have a good time?
It was great. Yes, all you could eat, all you could drink. We made sure to get both our fills on both. Went too fast. It was a good time though. Yeah, we went to the Punta Cana in the Dominican Republic. Never been there before. Yeah, it was fun. Pretty inexpensive if anybody's never been. It's very affordable. So if you're looking to go to the Caribbean and maybe Bahamas is out of your price range or Jamaica is too much, I'd consider looking there.
Look at that. We're going to have an episode on HGTV in about 2 months. So look for that with Tyler Beaker. Tyler Beaker of fantasyguru.com. Let's talk. Obviously, we got you here to talk football, and you're our best ball guy. You've got best ball rankings up over at fantasyguru.com. And again, everybody, the package drops on Monday, the actual release of the draft guide for 2025. Tyler will be all over that. You're our best ball guy, and I wanted to ask you a question that I asked earlier this week to Armando. A lot of people say, look, when I'm doing best ball, like, we have to kind of spray to all fields, right? It's like you don't want to take Bijan Robinson. You want to spray to all fields. How many best ball leagues or tournaments, whatever, how many best ball entries do you need to have to really diversify like that? Because my line of thought in seasonal is, if Bijan Robinson's the best guy and he's there, we're taking him. And I don't care if that's in all 6 of my leagues, but it's different in best ball. So talk us through the best ball diversification process.
Yeah, all 6 of your leagues is far different than all 60 or 600 of your leagues. It varies based on the number of drafts you're doing and your budget, depending on what you're playing, can also impact that. There's no real set answer to answer the question. I'll just say, let's say Bijan. Let's use this example. Mm-hmm. I've been in seasons past. I think it was 2017 or something. I was super into Saquon, or 2018 maybe. I went like 40% in on a round 1 player, where every other draft, essentially, I was trying to get this guy. He got injured week 6. I lost a large amount of money that season because of that. I will just say diversifying in the early rounds is very, very wise, especially if you're playing a large volume number of games. Even if you're playing 10, let's say that, because I think that's a doable number for many people. Mm-hmm. If you're in round 1, you're likely to so for those who haven't played best ball, you are randomized picks 1 through 12. So you have no say in that. But what you do have a say is in how you draft. If you keep getting a top 3 selection, let's say 9 of the 12 drafts, I would mix and match who you're getting there in those 1 through 3 spots. If you keep getting this, like I saw somebody in our Discord said they keep getting like the number 6 spot time and time again. Mm-hmm. I would continue to vary that as well, where I'd reach a little bit beyond ADP, grab the guy that's going 8th or 9th, rather than just continuously selecting. Let's say it's Jahmyr Gibbs, who's the number 6 overall pick, rather than getting 40% of Jahmyr Gibbs, throw in some Malik Nabers, throw in some Amon-Ra St. Brown, mix things up so that you're not stuck with a exorbitant amount of ownership on a early round selection. I think when we get into the later rounds, we can change our strategy with this specific conversation in terms of diversification and ownership, where the later rounds, those picks aren't the ones you're really relying on a week-to-week level, where they're more of your lottery tickets, your scratch-offs, your dart throws, your potential breakouts. But not every player breaks out in year one. Not every lottery ticket is a cashing winner. So those are the types of plays where I think you can have additional looks and additional dart throws at these players in terms of volume, because you're not counting on them on a week-to-week level. If they miss, it's not as impactful to your bottom line. But when they hit, they could hit big. Just know that there's less risk the later you go. So it should be like a kind of like a ramping slope in terms of early capital, lower ownership. So the 1 in 12, that's an 8.3%. I probably wouldn't go higher than 16% on anybody in round one. That would be my advice.
Tyler Beaker, fantasyguru.com. I know that you had a conversation earlier this week with Justin Fensterman about zero running back theory, and I just wanted to have a little bit of a conversation with you here. Let's define it first. What is zero running back theory? Because again, I did zero running back theory. I took a running back in the 4th round. It's not zero running back. What is zero running back theory? Let's define it first.
So this was popularized by RotoViz's Sean Siegel probably over a decade now. The definition of it varies place to place. And so if you want to go 3 receivers and then you're running back, I'm not going to really poo-poo it too much. Mm-hmm. But essentially the goal of it is the running back position is the most often injured position in fantasy football. It's where we get the most time missed in terms of our players selected. So when we know that that's the most fragile position, the way to counteract that fragility is to swing into it knowing that it's going to happen. So we load up at wide receivers, quarterbacks, tight ends, positions that are generally more healthy. And the goal of these is to kick our opponent's butt at all of these positions where we have juggernauts, essentially. Mm-hmm. Doing really well in terms of the elite quarterback approach, the elite tight end approach. You can do either one. You can do both. There really is no set rule for how many wide receivers, or let's just say non-running backs, you select until you break the ice and finally select one. I've seen people do it all the way until round 4. I've seen people go all the way to round 8 or 9. Really depends on how many starting lineups or how many starting spots you have, the kind of competition you're in. I'd say it's best utilized in a full PPR setup. It's best utilized in a league where you have 3 starting receiver spots and a flex, because you're trying to beat your opponents with a lot of heavy hitters at the wide receiver position. PPR value spikes that for the wide receivers, and having more depth there with 4 potential wide receivers starting adds and compounds that advantage we're trying to generate here. So it really varies in terms of where you want to hit the RB position. I'll say that this year is a very, very interesting year to do zero running back, because last year was sort of an anomaly where many of the veteran and established running backs stayed healthy for almost the entirety of the season. A lot of rookie running backs, like Marshawn Lloyd, Trey Benson. These were guys that were not able to hit the starting lineup for their respective squads. I think the only real fantasy viable running back that was a rookie last year was Bucky Irving from the Bucs. He was really the biggest guy, with Tyrone Tracy probably number 2. Outside of that, we were really looking at just guys that were kind of just depth pieces that never really manufactured opportunities to see the field. Blake Corum, another example. But drafters are super reactionary. So Saquon Barkley, RB1 finished last year. He's RB1 right now off the board in ADP. Right. People are also translating that to how they're drafting right now, where these veterans survived the entirety of 2024. They're expecting them to do the same in 2025, where their ADPs have gone up prior to where they were in 2024, because they're expecting those repeats to occur and for them to outperform the season's prior ADP. That means we've got a lot of potential for these running backs to be overdrafted, which makes the wide receivers fall in value, which makes it really easy to accumulate a ton of heavy hitters at wide receiver positions. And when we throw in the fact that this is a monumental rookie class where everyone keeps talking about how great this rookie group is and how they're expected to do well, if we get just variance going the opposite direction, where all these veteran running backs start succumbing to injury, a lot of these rookie guys are set up really well on paper to take over a workhorse role or something close to it, where maybe they start the year in a timeshare, but injuries unfold. Again, the most fragile position, where investing in a lot of rookies is going to be probably my primary draft plan as I get ready for 2025 drafts. But that's essentially what it is. Hopefully I explained it a little bit and how to apply it to 2025.
So let's say, just hypothetically, one more step here, Tyler. Let's say that, all right, we take 3 wide receivers, a tight end, and a quarterback our first 5 picks. We're blowing it out, right? We've got elite guys at all these positions. So now we're in the 6th, 7th round area when we start looking at that running back position for the first time. In a strategy, in a build like that, let's say, again, 3 wide receivers, tight end, quarterback. Do we then 3 of our next 4 picks are running backs? 4 of our next 8 picks are running backs? Are we still, well, maybe we grab a guy or 2, but if there's value, we still go, like, how far out do we push this? Because that's the next question people always want to ask, and there's no answer to it. But in theory, if we had those 5, locked in at the start here, how would you handle, let's say, the next 4 rounds, like rounds 6 to 10?
Yeah, I think you can easily load up at running backs. There's a lot of players there that offer a lot of potential to be those types of fill-in plays for zero RB squad specifically. Tony Pollard's a great example. James Conner's going kind of late. You can get some of these rookies that we've referenced a little bit. There's plenty of options for you to go where you're not getting zeros at the position. And you're really just kind of biding your time, waiting for an injury to unfold or for one of the timeshare backs to emerge as the guy, quote unquote. So you can go 4 or 5 rounds, sure. I would also sprinkle in another wide receiver, just given that, again, we're trying to fill that flex with a wide receiver position. Mm-hmm. So maybe 4 of your 5 next rounds, you go RB. But yeah, there's plenty of sweet spots there and plenty of guys that we've historically viewed as like a RB, quote unquote, dead zone, which just really doesn't feel applicable to 2025 in the landscape right now.
Tyler, when you look at kind of the guys that are in that zone, if you will, right, in terms of ADP right now in a seasonal context, Caleb Johnson, Aaron Jones, Tony Pollard, you mentioned DeAndre Swift. If you're grabbing 1 or 2 of those guys, right, if those are like your top 1 or 2 running backs, what do you think about the idea of handcuffing? Is it a must if you wait on running backs? Is it dependent upon the system? Are you not interested in that? What are your general thoughts on handcuffing?
So it's a great question and I think we should break it down into redraft versus best ball.
Yep.
And we can break it down even further. I'll say for redraft leagues where it's you versus your home league, you're really just trying to beat 11 other opponents. You can handcuff a bit more there in that situation. When you're in some kind of large field tournament, let's say you're in the FFPC main event, or you're in some kind of best ball main event or best ball tournament where it's $1 million up top. That's where I'd rather take the swings of, I'm guessing this backfield is going to unfold where Tony Pollard is the guy. He puts Tajay Spears in the closet. He's not worried about him. Pollard's the guy week in, week out. Mm-hmm. And we're drafting as if we're correct. So we're drafting as if Pollard exceeds ADP, turns in, let's say, a high-end RB2 season, and Tajay Spears is just a non-factor. So we're drafting as if we're right. Spending a pick on the Spears when we think Pollard is going to be the guy doesn't make sense in my eyes, because it kind of just negates what we're anticipating ceiling-wise from a guy like Pollard. You can apply that to multiple running backs because many of these guys here in this range are in committees. So, again, we're trying to pick the right guy in the committee. It could be Austin Eckler over Brian Robinson. It could be Caleb Johnson over Jaylen Warren. Whatever you want to play it as. But you're only drafting one singular guy in these large field tournaments because you're drafting as if you're selecting the right guy. And the other guy, let's say, gets injured, is inefficient, just doesn't perform as well, and the guy that you select is the one that supersedes the other back in terms of opportunities and fantasy production. So that's how I would approach it.
Tyler Beaker, fantasyguru.com. Tyler's part of the draft guide that we're about ready to release over at fantasyguru.com. Remember, folks, that's available starting on Monday. Well, it's available right now to purchase. The guide itself drops on Monday, so get over to fantasyguru.com, click that subscribe tab in the top right corner to get all of Tyler and everybody else's analysis as we head into 2025. Another question at the running back position, and this one is, put your thinking cap on here and let's start guessing, Tyler, because James Cook has said for a while now that he wants $15 million a year. I don't think there's any chance in hell James Cook is getting $15 million a year from the Buffalo Bills. So what are we doing? He's not attending OTAs, not surprising. Doesn't mean he's not going to be there in week 1 and lead this team in touches and all that. But how are we handling James Cook? And if we're drafting James Cook, is it a must that we get Ray Davis? How would you play it?
Yeah, this is an interesting spot. He and his agents, they know the 18 total touchdowns from last year is not repeatable. And that's very, very high. 40.5% of his total fantasy value last year came from touchdowns. No back came close to that last year, nor the season prior. So I can't fault him at all for trying to get the bag. He's a young guy. trying to do his best. He just saw Jamar Chase win the Triple Crown, and he got extended before his rookie contract was up. Why can't Cook do it after throwing up 18 total touchdowns? That said, I agree with you where by week 1, this is a non-discussion, and he's out there playing for the Bills. But sure, if you want to cuff with Ray Davis, who they spent decent capital on, he's a ready now back. He's like 24, 25. He's no spring chicken. He doesn't need a lot of development time. And we saw some opportunities where Cook was not in the lineup or injured or was just taking a break, and Ray Davis did pretty darn well. We do have to worry about Ty Johnson, who's also brought back. But yeah, I like this Cook-Davis backfield in terms of cuffing. We've seen ever since OC Joe Brady took over, they've gone away from that pass-heavy style of play that we saw under Ken Dorsey, and it's been just far more of a balanced and rushing-oriented unit. Throw in the mobility of Josh Allen, and we just see great rushing lanes. And Allen's not afraid to hit these guys on swing passes, too, when they're wide open. I just can't get the image of James Cook sprinting for 80 yards down the sideline in the snow-filled game. Davis also has that capability. So I'm probably fading James Cook at his cost because he's RB14 right now after an RB9 finish. But again, I'll get very touchdown-heavy season. So give me Ray Davis at a fraction of that cost instead as far as like a value play. But if you want to cuff, I understand it entirely.
Tyler Beaker of fantasyguru.com. This is a storyline that comes up every year, and it's something we all think about, but I wonder if it's really applicable. And that is, we're talking specifically about the quarterback, the small quarterback, right? Not everyone's Josh Allen, right? We get a lot of talk about Kyler Murray being short, and he's been successful. You know, he hasn't quite been great, but he's been successful. We had a lot of concerns when Lamar Jackson came up because he was thin, and he's had injury issues, some of it diarrhea, I think. But I don't know if a lot of it has to do with him being thin. Jayden Daniels, another guy, you know, he's not a prototypical size guy, but he apparently gained some weight this offseason. Cliff Kingsbury was talking about the other day. What are your thoughts specifically with Jayden Daniels and this idea that, you know, the quarterback's too thin? Is that something you even think about at this point?
For sure, especially with a mobile quarterback. This was a guy who was listed at 210. We all kind of smirked at that when that was his weight at the NFL Combine because he played at like 190 during his collegiate days. So for him to add an extra 20 pounds and then not really work out, it's like, okay, I see what's going on here. We've seen this song and dance.
Yes.
For him to add weight in the offseason, it's a great story. We love to hear that for a light quarterback. But yeah, this was one of the reasons why I didn't have Jayden Daniels as my number one dynasty quarterback, because I had these fears where a guy that's 190 pounds, or let's be generous, we'll say 210. It's still very, very tough for these guys to take on the pounding that a 240 plus Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, Cam Newton, these type of guys sustain relative to what Lamar and Jayden Daniels offer and the smaller, svelter build, so to speak. So I think it's a legitimate concern. I think the ceiling is sky high. I think in any type of fantasy league, you're playing to win. You're not playing for safety. So you can take those swings on Jayden Daniels, knowing most leagues there's a waiver wire rich with opportunities to pick up a guy should the injury unfold. So I would not let it dissuade you from the number one overall fantasy season that he is capable of. I think he's very capable of finishing as the highest scoring fantasy QB. I think he's capable of finishing as an MVP. Offensive player of the year. You could throw him in any of those rings. Really wouldn't shock me. But at 210 pounds, that's definitely a concern. And I'm just concerned, though, from a dynasty perspective. From a redraft year-to-year basis, let's ride it. Yeah.
Kenny Pickett's got small hands.
Sure, yeah.
That was a big concern. He throws with gloves. That was a concern. Obviously, his career hasn't gone as expected. Well, in some circles, in other circles, everyone expected this to happen. So I guess it all depends where you were. But he's now with the Browns, and I don't know if it's a story or not, but he's taken first team reps in OTAs. We don't know who the quarterback's going to be here. We don't know how this is going to play out. If you're drafting today, I mean, twofold. If you're drafting today, are you drafting any Browns quarterbacks? And secondarily, are you avoiding this offense in general because of the uncertainty at the quarterback position?
Yeah, I think it's a fair thing to avoid. Can I share a tab with you that I have open?
Yeah, if it pops up, go for it.
All right. Present share
Tyler
screen.
Beaker creating graphics. He might have been on vacation. He came back on fire. Oh, there we go. Yep. Yeah. All right. Do it to it.
What are we doing here, guys? It's May. Nobody cares about this. Nobody cares about this.
Is this
Even
real?
Cleveland Browns fan. This is real. Yeah, this is from the Browns. It's called ESPN Cleveland. Their
Okay.
account.
Okay.
Just wanted to share that.
That's worth sharing. Wow.
This is a big story according to some people. To me, it's a non-factor. I just don't care. I think we can play the Browns in two different ways. You either full fade it or you pick the heavy hitters. I envision Jerry Jeudy to flirt with a 25 to 27% target share. David Njoku to be a back end tight end 1, and Quinton Judkins to be the leader of this backfield and probably be a mid-range RB2 at some point. The rest, quarterback-wise, doesn't matter to me. I'm not drafting any of these guys right now in best ball. I'm not actively seeking them in dynasty or any kind of trades or keeper leagues. I think you can just kind of full fade this unit, knowing the Browns haven't spent a lot of capital on it. Why should we?
By the way, for those people that are just listening and not actually watching, Tyler shared a screenshot of the camp numbers for the 4 quarterbacks, because I guess apparently, running around in your underwear or shorts, I guess, means something. I don't know.
Yeah,
wow.
I'll put it in the chat here for everyone as well.
Oh, perfect. Well, there you go. Look at this guy making it happen. Tyler Buecher, full service today, folks. Here, he joins us every Thursday on the show at about 12:30 Eastern Standard Time. Huge name here. It's a story. Maybe it doesn't matter, but when you see the name Malik Nabers and you see the head coach talking about, well, he's got a toe injury, but it's not really an injury. It's been something he's dealt with for a while now. It's this story mean anything to you? He's rehabbing the injury, and no one seems concerned right now, but he's a first-round pick. He's a top 10 guy. There's uncertainty about everything that's going on with the Giants, who's going to be their quarterback, how many throws they're going to make, all this kind of stuff, because they got 3 guys. You hearing this and any kind of concern with Malik Nabers? Is he a guy that you're still drafting at that first-round cost, or not sure at this point?
Yeah, no changes at all here. I think we can just be aware of it. We can hope that he rests and takes it easy because it's, again, not even June. We've got plenty of time for him to get fully healthy. If this is something that was serious, I think he would have had surgery on it or done some kind of rehab with it where we wouldn't even be talking about it at this juncture. Okay. But when we look at last year's unit of the Giants passing attack, they were 20th in EPA per play, 31st in EPA per drop back. It was rock bottom. We've now got Russell Wilson, Jameis Winston, Jackson Dart. I'm just plain flat out excited for Malik Nabers in year 2. I think he has a chance to finish number 1 or number 2 in total fantasy scoring among the wideouts. Let me give a sneak peek for our draft guide that's going to launch on Monday. I have Nabers number 2. I think he has the ability to be right behind Jamar Chase as one of the highest scoring fantasy options. He broke Puka Nakua's rookie reception record last year in just 15 games played with one of the worst quarterback situations out there. No run game to speak of. I think Nabers has a far higher ceiling than what we saw in 2024. I'm buying in 2025. And if we get any kind of discount because of this, like a round 2 Nabers,
right?
Sign me up, please.
You going to sign up to add the old Ricky Pearsall? Are you jumping on the Ricky Pearsall train? Obviously, the Niners no longer have Deebo Samuel. He's with the Commanders. Brandon Ayuk, I don't know. Some people say he'll be ready for week 1. I'm not counting on that at this point. Even if he is, I mean, Juwan Jennings is there. Juwan Jennings, I think, had 4 or 5 games last year with double-digit targets, so he and Purdy, seem to have something going. But Ricky Pearsall is going to be involved regardless. I think there's a debate about whether he's catching 3 passes a week or 5, right? Is he the main guy? Is he the support piece? What are you thinking with Pearsall, who had all kinds of challenges health-wise last year on the field, and then, of course, coming back from getting shot when some moron tried to mug him on the street?
Yeah, the roughest of starts to a career. Wow. He's had some flashes of brilliance, but for the most part, he was largely quiet when he had an opportunity to emerge in the second half of last year. I thought there were, because of all the injuries that they'd sustained, a shot for him to bad pun, an opportunity for him to emerge and really put up production that merited that round 1 draft capital. I am with you where I think Juwan Jennings is kind of the guy that's going to be the focal point. He and George Kittle. Kittle's a guy I cannot stop drafting because I think at round 5 cost, he has a chance to put up, I don't know, probably 250 PPR points, maybe 300 plus in a 10 and premium. Wow. I'm very, very bullish on him at his current cost in round 5. He's the guy I think takes the biggest leap forward. Then we also have to factor in, well, what does a healthy CMC do, and how does that impact their play calling? because he's also a huge factor. And when he's been healthy, it's kind of just limited others in terms of pass volume, namely Kittle in that regard. But with Ayuk out, I don't expect Ayuk back until week 8, mid-season. The week 1 thing seems super lofty and optimistic.
Does to me too. Yep.
Maybe it's because we're just here in the middle of May and people are trying to think of things to say. But yeah, I think Pearsall is probably more of like a flex / wide receiver 5 even, where you're probably really just want to play him when bye weeks start accruing. Just given that the Niners are not likely to be one of these elite pass rate over expectation squads that throw the ball heavily. I think they're going to lean on CMC for as long as he's healthy. So
we're going from the early start of a career Pearsall scenario to we're getting toward the end with Stefon Diggs here as we wrap up this discussion. There was a report out that said, coming back from his knee injury, week 4 sounds doable. So it doesn't seem like Diggs is going to be ready for week 1 with his new team there in New England. And then we get the party on the boat and there's the pink stuff. I don't know what's going on here. Stefon Diggs is, he's a wide receiver. He's a successful wide receiver, and it's almost like in this league, if you catch 100 passes and you're a wide receiver, you're problematic. Where are we at with Stefon Diggs right now? And is he somebody that, given his cost, you're drafting in best ball leagues or in seasonal setups?
Yeah, I saw somebody joke on Twitter that the pink thing was the most creative birth sex announcement they've seen in a while.
Oh, that's good. Yeah. People do weird things with that stuff. It's true.
Yeah. I don't have any real comments on that aside from let's see how it plays out. The week 4 thing, I'm not sure I'm buying because this is the first report we've seen of it, and it just came from one singular source.
Right.
I'm hesitant to put a lot of stock into it. I'll just say that. And I also know that it's a long season. Maybe he does miss the first, few games. Stefon Diggs, looking at that competition for targets, they did a video walkthrough of the receivers lining up for drills. First pass, drop by Jalen Polk. Second pass, drop by Javon Baker. This is not a team that has a lot of weapons budding to break out, aside from Kyle Williams, who I think is an exciting selection, the rookie that they added. I think that was day 3 or day 4. Round 3, round 4. Beyond that, I think it's really going to be Diggs who sees the most volume. He looks like a guy that could be that maybe a 40-60 slot to perimeter, where that 40% slot rate, he's going to see some high percentage looks and become, I think, Drake May's go-to option. So I'm still buying. I think you can probably get a discount now, though. So I'm curious to see where his ADP lands in the next few days. But to me, this seems just like, again, just May content. We're just trying to get something out there to talk about.
And that's a thing, folks. That's real.
Yes.
A lot there is, and you'll start to see a lot of the stories about, he got a dog or he went to Cancun this offseason. The stories don't mean anything either. It's a really interesting mixture with the beat writers nowadays. Tyler Beaker, fantasyguru.com. Again, he joins us every Thursday at about 12:30 Eastern Standard Time. Spends about a half hour with us, as he did today, going over through things. And Tyler, I know that you're back. You're ready to go now. The draft guide, again, drops on Monday over at fantasyguru.com. So click that subscribe tab in the top right corner to get signed up right now. You want to share kind of what's coming down the pipe from you here to kind of whet the appetite, if you will, of the user there at FG?
Sure. I've got my nose right now looking at wide receiver outlooks. I'm writing up 60 different outlooks for the top 60 wide receivers in this upcoming fantasy season. That'll be posted on the 2nd, which will be this upcoming Monday. We'll also have our bold predictions out. I'm heading up our best ball guide, which will cover rankings, strategy, any kind of roster construction questions you guys have. You guys can reach out to us in our Discord. We'll be covering everything. Underdog, FFPC, drafters, DraftKings, you name it. We'll be putting out content for it. Very, very excited for that. We'll also be putting out a betting guide. I'll have my wide receiver coverage scheme out. The draft guide's so great because we launch on the 2nd, but it's continuously being added to all season long. I'm sure you've mentioned it many times, but it's really a great product in terms of getting you guys ready for the upcoming year. We cover stuff from now that's just the tip of the iceberg. I'm very, very excited for what we've got in store for 2025, and I hope you guys go out and check us out.
Yeah, and it's always that battle we have that we call it a draft guide because that's what we've always called it. Just so people know, it's all season long. So it's not you get it now and then you're out of once the league start. No, it's all season long. We call it the draft guide, but as Tyler noted, we're updating this thing on basically a daily basis until the season begins. And then, of course, once the season begins, we have multiple articles every single day. So get ready to read and get ready to converse, because if you're part of the product at FG, you're going to have a lot. We also have Discord, which you have access to. On Tuesday nights, we have the live stream at 7 o'clock Eastern. Tyler's often a part of that. We're planning on keeping him here on this show. So you can see him here and you say to yourself, that Tyler's really good. He's really smart. Love his tan. Love his advice on where to travel. I want to get more of his stuff. Go to fantasyguru.com, click that subscribe tab in the top right corner, and you can make that a reality. Tyler, thanks for joining us today. We appreciate it. Glad you're back. Glad you had a good time, and glad you're ready to have some success in 2025 with the rest of us.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me on, and I can't wait to see you guys next week.
He's Tyler Beaker. I'm Ray Flowers. It's been Fantasy Sports Daily, powered by fantasyguru.com. Remember, Justin Fensterman and I today and tomorrow on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio from 3 to 6 Eastern in the Elite Sports time slot, because Jeff Mans is on vacation. Jeff will return next week on Monday. That'll push Justin and I back into that 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern time slot on SiriusXM. So for Tyler, I'm Ray. Have a great day, folks. This has been Fantasy Sports Daily, powered by fantasyguru.com.